Hello! I blew dry my hair, but it doesn't seem it wants to stay still. Let's just go with this. I look like an Ajuma every day. Wanna look less like an Ajuma? I don't know. I need to look less like an Ajuma so I can get a husband and then have my kids and actually become an Ajuma. That's the actual very, very cliche of it. The whole situation. To become one, you have to be less one. Anyway, hi, how are you? How are you going today? Hope you guys are doing well. We are heading towards winter here in Australia right now. So today I want to talk about ancestral DNA residual belief system. I'm not sure even how that works. Because this morning, I dreamt about this constant feeling that I need to go back to school to finish my high school degree. And this is not the first time that I had that kind of dream. Like, the form of the dream is always different, but the feeling that I get in the dream is always the same. It's the feeling of I need to go back to school to finish high school. There's this fear of going to finish high school, going to repeat high school. And it's very specific high school, and meaning like it's very specific in high school because I didn't finish my law degree. I took the law degree about 9 years ago, and I didn't finish it. I only did one semester of it. But before then, I have completed my master degree, my bachelor degrees, and I didn't finish my CA, which is a chartered accountant postgraduate diploma. I didn't finish those, but those are like postgraduate degrees, postgraduate qualification. I definitely finished my high school in Australia. So I think was the first time that I actually stopped and analyzed it. Multiple times before this time, I was actually feeling like, oh, like today, I have to remind myself consistently, like after I wake up with this huge feeling of dread of needing to go back to high school and finish it. Like, there's this huge dread feeling. It is definitely a dark, like inside here in the heart area, that oh my god, like I have to go back to high school and finish high school. And then it took me a while to remind myself, I finished high school. I got the fucking paperwork to prove that. Like, if I ever go back to my country of birth, then I don't have to start from zero. Like, I probably can start somewhere, I don't know, maybe like a bachelor degree or something. It's definitely not something that you kind of start over again to finish a qualification. And I'm almost 40, so it's like I have 5 more years and I'm gonna be 40. So it's like I was thinking to myself, I think like this was the first time I actually thought to myself, like, what's going on? And then I think yesterday was the only time where it was like my mother was in the dream, and then I finally connected it, or I tried to connect it for the first time in my life, that oh my god, maybe this is not my fear, maybe this is not my problem, maybe this is just a DNA being activated in my in my body from my mother, because my mother never finished high school. She dropped out at year 11. I have no doubt whatsoever that she's very smart, and my dad is also very smart, because I'm smart and my brother is a fucking genius. He didn't finish university though, but that doesn't prove that he's not a fucking genius, because he was like, my brother basically came first in every like during primary school, during elementary school, like during middle school, and then he graduated with cum laude in high school. So to me, like, I have no doubt whatsoever that he's a fucking genius. So I know my dad and mom were very, very smart, regardless whether they pursue the higher education or not, because I'm the proof. Because if they're not smart, I couldn't be smart, because I came out of their DNA, and my brother too. So I felt like, oh, this is not mine. Maybe this is my mother's. Uh, because my dad finished high school. Maybe this is my mother. Maybe this nagging feeling that I have inside of me, this continuous dream, is not my dream. Maybe it is just the DNA that is residual, still being activated inside of me, because maybe I that's the only way for me to attach to her in some way. Maybe that's a way for me to, still be connected to her in some way, because I never felt a connection with her even when she was still alive. Maybe up until I was very young, maybe up until high school, middle school, like maybe like you're 7, you're 8, or you're 9, you're 9ish, you're 9, you're 10ish. But after that, I think I made a decision that, you know what, I think I need to stop putting hope onto that relationship and kind of just like take back all my power and my energy from that. So maybe this is like the final thread that I have with her that still keeping me connected. But I think like maybe that's why I never realized it until today, because today maybe is the day where I've basically realized it and ready to release it. Maybe that's what happens when you realize something. Maybe you are blinded, or you're not willing to, to acknowledge something because you're not ready to let go of it. And I think that is also the case here, where I felt like maybe now is the time to let go of it. That's why it was brought up to my awareness finally, having this dream again that is so familiar, that is quite repetitive when it comes to the after emotional effect of the dream. But this was the first time where I basically connected that to my mother, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like in my brain it makes sense, like, oh, maybe I'm trying to make her still alive in my world and through my body. Because if I think about it very thoroughly, if I think about it objectively, we are a very different person. We are very different people. We are not, maybe because I try to be different from a very young age. Maybe that's that too. Because she was also very concerned about her looks, and she's very typical of like a woman of her generation. She was very pretty, which I'm very glad to get her looks from. She get a good body, which I do have. I'm not saying a perfect body, I'm just saying that the body is enough to entice men. But I think that's where our differences, that's where our similarities kind of ended, because maybe because I didn't agree the way she lived her life, and I choose a different path. Like, she didn't finish her degree, so maybe like something in me is activated to fulfill and completed her incompleteness, which is probably why I did all those things with education. Because as soon as I found out she was dead, I basically dropped out of everything, dropped out of university, quit my job. It's like, whole different, lifestyle altogether. And it's been 7 years now, and I'm an artist. I have no connection whatsoever to the academic world. And that happened as soon as she died. So maybe education was the only thing that we were connected with, because she was planning to go into educational route before she dropped out. All her friends were teachers. So when I was in primary school, most of her friends, like the second grade and first grade teacher, were like her friend. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, maybe when I was younger. And then I think education was indeed our connections and our only connection. And I found myself not too connected with her in other things, because I read a lot. My dad is quite a reader, but he reads like more newspapers. And what else is there? I don't like I think she really likes the attention of men, especially my dad. Like she gets jealous a lot when my dad kind of goes on about other people. Even when my dad goes out with his friends and stuff, she always made a comment. She always made a comment about it, and to me that was okay. Like she really want to keep attention of men. I think to a detriment effect so much, because I think that was her undoing at the end. Maybe because I disagree with her point of view, I live my life very differently. I don't feel like I needed like male attention as much, and it doesn't carry a lot of values with me. But also, like, I also realized like her upbringing might be very different, because she's like the youngest of like 6 children, and all of them were females. And I think being Chinese and being in a female environment could be very competitive, and especially if you're not a boy. But that's not how I was brought up. I brought up with 2 older cousins. The oldest was within my immediate surrounding. I got other cousins, but like when I was growing up, 2 older cousins. My oldest was a male, and then I've got a younger brother as well. So I have like and then my other cousin is a female. So within my immediate surrounding, when I was growing up, I have like 2 men and then 1 other female around my age group. So I wasn't part of this huge female competitiveness environment. I compete more with boys because I don't find any reason to compete with girls. Like never found that to be important. And maybe because I also was brought up in the 90s, so there's also a lot of feminism attached to like whatever a guy can do, I can do better. I can't do whatever my brother does though, because he's smart, he's a genius. But back into these current issues, I basically realized, oh, maybe other people is like that too. Maybe there's a lot of other things that is in your life right now that basically not belong to you. That like the things that you are currently experiencing don't belong to you. The feelings that you are currently experiencing don't belong to you. It does belong to you in a way because it is in your DNA, but I think you are reacting to a memory in your DNA that you never lived through. Maybe it is something that belongs to someone else in your DNA lineage, in your ancestral lineage, and maybe right now you haven't realized it yet, but I hope like this video can be a trigger for you to think about like it objectively. Maybe you think about it like, oh, have I actually gone through that kind of thing before? Who is in my family that went through that experience? And then kind of just piece it together, and then make sure that what you're feeling actually belongs to you, because you don't want to be wasting so much of your time. For example, in my life, 35 years, thinking that this pressure and this dream belongs to me, this feeling of inadequacy because I did finish high school belong to me, which is completely nonsensical, because the way I live is not like that. I have proofs. Maybe that's why I live for paperwork. I have this desire to always have paperwork, because my dad and my mom never got married in a civil environment. They never had the marriage certificate, but my mom decided that, so kudos for her. So in my world, I am doing completely different from her, maybe because I'm trying to complete whatever it is that she didn't complete, but that's not my responsibility to do that. I think because I wasn't aware of it happening, I was trying to do all of that, but now I'm aware of it. I might do something different. I might do something that is more conscious and more deliberate. And also, I think it's helpful for you to ask yourself, does this feeling belong to me? Who does it belong to? Is it purely mine? Like, how can I deal with it? And I think it's important to do that, because otherwise you would get sucked into something that is not yours, something that you try to solve, but you can't solve it because it's never your problem to begin with. So you need to let that go, and hopefully this particular video help you to do that, using my own example. And also, although it is very, very tiny example of this particular issue, it can be applied to anything. I'm trying to apply it to finances. Maybe these finances belief and these feelings that I have about finances don't belong to me. Maybe it's like something that is being passed down through generations. Maybe it is something that happens from my dad's side of the family. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know, but I'm trying to solve it right now because I am going through a very weird kind of spiral down experience, and I feel like it has gone on long enough and I really need to put a stamp down on it. But that's me for now, and that's enough rambling for the week, and I will catch you in a different video. Hopefully that is a bit helpful, and I'll see you later. Bye everyone.